It may seem silly to take out this little stuff, but this little stuff doesn't stay little stuff. If this would stay like this, it wouldn't bother me. But these things become massive and they produce a billion burrs. I don't want them in my horse paddock. I fenced this area out and haven't addressed all the burdock that is growing here. And this dude is thinking about going to seed. This is what it would look like if I would not maintain the areas that the horses have access to. This is what it would look like. Burdock, thistles. It is Sunday, June 21st, 2020. This is what this entire paddock would look like if it wasn't for me going around with my scythe every single day, knocking these things down before they get this huge. And this is just the beginning, because in August these things will tower over my head and will be loaded with burrs. And then the thistles are flowering, and the flowering and going to seed of the thistles is not your biggest problem anyway, because once thistles get established, they multiply through their root systems. So you will have to take them out by the root to actually really conquer this infestation. Meanwhile, our landlord is suing us for the balance of our lease. He wants $70,000 chop chop right now. Are you crunching for cash or something because of COVID-19? This is an area that I have not made safe yet for the horses. There's a lot of these things and branches and stuff. The floor is also full of debris still, and it's just not a safe environment. Also, these trees are very, very weak, and on a regular basis I would find big tops that came crashing down overnight at the slightest wind. So this is not a safe environment for livestock. It's not a safe environment for humans. So I fenced the horses out. And because I am not using this part because it's unusable, I also don't maintain it. And this is the result. It is completely burdock and thistle infested. And this is an issue that is going to take years and years to effectively deal with. That this paddock got so out of hand is the result of systematic negligence. This paddock was never maintained and has allowed to become burdock and thistle and ragweed infested, which is a shame because there is a heck of a lot of money put into these fences. For what? To have a unedible, unedible, and you're fencing this in for livestock. And it's dangerous too. This is a neglected plantation, a plantation that was planted with the intent to be maintained, right? Thinning It never got thinned. So all these trees grew way too close together, therefore never had enough wind, and became just weak, weak, weak. And at the littlest wind, they snap like a match. And then, of course, they were never maintained as far as trimming all the dead branches. Just pure, pure negligence. This whole area of the property just been neglected for, my guess, about 10 years. And then this was rented out to us for good money as our horse paddock. It looks like this could be part of the tree, but it isn't. This is that vine, and it's tiny now, and it doesn't look like much. It comes out pretty easily. But these guys grow into big, flippin' massive things with a stem that can get this big and super woody. I took one down at the far end just recently. It's not a big deal to get this out now. I can do it by hand. Oop. And there's more thistle. Dealing with small issues, little innocent looking issues, is always easier than letting these small little issues grow up to become big, huge, humongous issues. Do less sooner. This was not a big deal. I didn't even need a tool. If I let this grow up, first of all, it's gonna strangle this tree. And then when I do decide to do something about it, I will have to get a tool or even a chainsaw in some cases. Easy. This one I was able to get out with the root, so awesome. These rocks are very hard on equipment, any equipment, even hand tools. And even though I collected up already a bundle, there's always more. Not all small little stones. I just knocked back, and only knocked back because of course they will grow back from the root, hundreds of little burdock. This is a great example. You can tell that this already was chopped probably a couple of weeks ago when I did my first round in here, and now it's coming back. Lovely. So this is likely a thistle coming up from a established root system, because this doesn't look like a newly formed root. This looks like something that came up from a mother root that shoots up all these new growths. Little baby thistles. They look so innocent this size. These burdogs that I just chopped will eventually come back. There's just too many of them to dig up. Jeff and I have always made a practice wherever we live to, when we see burdock, to dig it up right away to prevent an absolute burdock infested property that then becomes unmanageable. Do less sooner applies to anything. It also applies to a dispute with your tenant, Mr. Landlord. If you would have paid attention and would have actually been open to listening to our concerns, you would not be in this legal mess. You allowed it to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow until it grew over your head. And it is now completely filled with burrs that are gonna stick to you for a long, long time. You can still choose once again. That option is always and forever available. As annoying as our little legal feud with our landlord is, and it is annoying, trust me, it doesn't compare with the absolute madness that is happening in the US right now. Trump had his little rally in Tulsa last night, and when I say little rally, I mean little rally. But in it, he claims that he actively and willfully slowed down testing, because the more you test, the more cases you find, and those numbers look bad on you. He said that to a little crowd of seemingly bored supporters that nevertheless applauded when he demonstrated that he could take a sip of water from a glass with only one hand. I need to ask Jeff again to sharpen my scythe. Some of what I'm taking is new growth that came in from seed. Some of what I'm taking is just regrowth from what I already chopped down a couple of weeks ago. And speaking of regrowth, this is that vine I spoke about earlier, big woody thing. And by golly, it's coming back. Earlier, I took a little cousin out with my bare hands. Let me try that again. Oof. Oh. I'm gonna get it too. Although, maybe if I twist it, yay! Victory is mine. I'm a trophy hunter. I believe I made my point abundantly clear that it's always easier to deal with little issues that require not getting out of breath. I pulled that little guy out, boop, just like that, and this was a little different. Here's another one that I obviously chopped down once before, but hey, alive and kicking nevertheless, which shows you that if you don't deal with issues and take them out by the root, they'll just keep coming back. I collect up all the stones I find in little stone piles, and then once in a while I come around and collect all the little stone piles. I was on my way home to ask Jeff to sharpen my scythe again, but of course I can't pass little cute baby burdocks without murdering them. It's a lot easier to nip things in the butt than to have your butt kicked by them later. So visionary leadership is not rocket science. It's dealing with the small issues when the small issues are still small issues. Boom. Then, of course, when you spend your valuable time and resources on denying that there is an issue instead of dealing with the issue, while meanwhile the issue is growing and growing and growing and growing until it grows over your head, like COVID-19 in the United States. Yesterday at his tiny little rally, Donald Trump said something very significant out loud, something that we already knew, of course, that he was deliberately trying to suppress the numbers of COVID-19 infections and deaths by, and I'm going to use his own words, slowing down the testing. And then, of course, the White House had to sweep after him, going, oh, he was only joking. You don't joke about 30,000 people dead in the US from something that could have been prevented, that could have been dealt with when the issue was still a small little issue. No, that's not what Donald Trump chose. He chose to silence the scientists he chose to deny the issue, deflect the problem, blame others, blah, 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 blah. I don't take any responsibility whatsoever. This is just going to magically disappear. And meanwhile, the issue grew and grew and grew over his head. And the 130,000 people dead are the burrs that are now sticking to him forevermore. What an idiot. But in the same manner, our local real estate mogul chose to deny that there was an issue on this property, to deflect, to whatever, stonewall us. And now we are in court battling this out. If he would have showed up in the first week or the second week to say, oh, show me what's going on. What is the issue? I want to know so that I can deal with it. There would not have been a battle. There would have been a very productive partnership that would have brought this property up to standard. In harmony, in friendship, in joy. But he didn't choose that. He chose to put all his time and effort, and later his legal team, in denying, deflecting, intimidating, and threatening with a lawsuit if we did not delete all the evidence of his neglect. Defamation! I'm gonna sue you for defamation. What a flipping joke. Did the neglect go away? No. Did the evidence of this neglect go away? No. And now it's a big, humongous issue. Choose once again. And the magic words are, I take responsibility. And how can I make this right? Choose once again. That's basically your only way out, so you may as well. I keep finding this stuff all over the place. I'm sure it is not what I think it is, but it certainly looks like it could be out of the same family. Interesting. It grows everywhere.